I want to talk directly to the woman who hates herself. And this might show up sneaky. You might not have full awareness that you dislike yourself, but there are signs. There are signs. The self-talk that's spiraling inside of your head, it's not very kind. If you were to project it on a loudspeaker, you would be like, whoa, that's not very nice at all. You'd never speak about somebody else like that. Never. But somehow in your head, this loop keeps going and going and going. And you want to like yourself. You want to, but there's something in the way of it. Welcome to the Good podcast. I'm your host, Dee Talley, mama, licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, and embodiment coach. Here we dive deep into the realms of energy, consciousness, awareness, empowerment, and personal transformation to help you create a more vibrant and juicy life. I'm gonna tell you a story. So this past Halloween, one of my daughters went as Elsa. Now, any moms out there know that Elsa typically wears a blue sparkly dress. So we get her this blue sparkly dress, and typically after Halloween is completed, we allow the kids to put the Halloween costumes into this little toy chest in the playroom. And from time to time, they'll put them on and they'll pretend they're Elsa and they'll sing Let It Go. And it's like a cute, fun thing for them, right? And so I don't know if this dress is disintegrating for literal one sequin at a time, but I am finding blue sequins literally everywhere. I mean, stuck to the bottom of my feet, on my face, on the dog, in the shower. Like, I'm finding it all over their room. And it's like I'll find one and then I won't find one for a little while. And I was thinking about healing and how pattern recognition. People have always asked me, like, when am I going to be over this? Right? Like, when is the moment where this scab starts to actually heal? Or am I just going to keep ripping open that scab over and over and over again forever? And for me, healing is like the sequin. You're going to eventually come to a place where you can start to see it. So my reaction to the sequin forever was like rage. I would be like, what the fuck? Like, I already picked up all of these sequins. Like, why? Where are they coming from? It'll be months and months and months between the times my kids wear them, but somehow the sequins keep coming up. Until recently, I found a sequin stuck to my face and I went, oh, there you are. It's like I took away my emotional reaction to it and I just recognized it for what it was. Oh, there you are. And this got me thinking a lot about healing. In healing, it's not as if you're going to one day wake up and be like, I'm healed. The end. I'm never going to have to, quote unquote, deal with this again. It's like the sequin. You're going to notice it and go, oh, there you are. There you are. Instead of having this big emotional reaction to it. So is it ever going away? The answer is no. Will you be able to see it for what it is and relate to it differently and potentially faster with tools in your back pocket with ease eventually? Absolutely. And that is the whole point. The whole point of healing is not to, like we talked about performative wellness last week. It's like the whole point of healing is not to become somebody else. It's to fully become yourself and have this remembrance of who the fuck you are, right? And so I think about the sequins all the time now. And when patients come in and they're like, oh my God, this came up again and again and again and again, and they're so frustrated. It's like, I don't want to invalidate the frustration of how that can just keep coming up over and over and over and over again. But time and awareness are really, really big, important things here. Because Like I said, when you can see it for what it is, you kind of let go of that portion of time where you're like, what is this? Why am I? What is it? Da, da, da. And it's like, oh, right, there you are. There you are. So it was funny. I was going through some of my old documents and I came across my first ever freebie that I offered. And this was the Walking Trophy Self-Talk Playbook. And I was essentially trying to teach people how to change their negative self-talk into positive self-talk. And I'm kind of grateful because, like, I think maybe 20 people received this until I was shifting. And that's funny. It's funny how my work has like evolved in that way, where when something doesn't feel quite right, I just keep refining and refining and refining, kind of like a snake tracking a scent. Like, if it's not right, I'm going to just keep going until it feels right. And all the directions in the Walking Trophy Self-Talk Playbook talk about replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts in sort of auditing, like, whose voice is it? And is this true? And let's zoom out. And then let's understand energetics. But the biggest missing piece in this whole thing is embodiment. Because when you have poor self-talk, when you dislike yourself, when there are pieces of you that you are ashamed to show, why would you want to be in your body? Like, truth, why? It's not going to feel good. It's not a place that you're like, wow, let me go there. It's not going to feel cushy and warm and welcoming and comfortable because you are your own worst critic. And so if you immediately come home to yourself and feel shame, guilt, anger, sadness, all of these emotions that feel fucking horrible, why would you do it? And the Walking Trophy Self-Talk Playbook does not take into account that embodiment is a really, really big piece to this. I used to think that awareness existed so we could replace thoughts. And it's just funny to think about because awareness, I think, now exists so we can stop becoming our thoughts and actually be with truth that resides in our body. Everything is designed on social apps and in social groups to straight up kind of to make you feel like you're behind, like you're inferior, and that you need to catch up, right? Think about an influencer. An influencer's job is to sell whatever products they are promoting, right? And so in order to do that, we bump up against pain point marketing, which is kind of going into the nitty gritty of why you need this, why you're messed up. And it comes from that underlying narrative of you're not whole as you are and you need this thing to complete you, right? And so it's this continuous outsourcing and outsourcing and outsourcing. And of course, the self-talk piece plays into this because if you don't actually like yourself, you're always going to be seeking for that next thing, that next makeup product, that next face cream, that next wellness thing, that this mat that you lay on, or this whatever it is. There's so many different tools, and I'm not knocking the validity and how helpful certain tools can be, but again, it is the underlying narrative. There's something wrong with you, you need fixing. And I've noticed that we let social apps tell us how we're doing. Our followers, our calories, our sleep scores, our skincare, our productivity. It's everything outside of ourselves, which makes us insane and amazing consumers because this is the marketing plan. Make you feel like you're behind, make you feel less than, make you feel like you're always striving for something. So you will just keep buying and buying and buying. And influencers often trigger comparison. And they do this on purpose. And so I think auditing and being really mindful about who and what we consume, auditing that consumption. What's interesting about energetics in general is that a frequency, an energetic vibration will attract that energetic vibration, right? So if you feel like absolute shit about yourself, then guess what? What you will be attracting are all of these influencers who are going to tell you how to fix yourself. And I've said this a million times, probably the most cringy thing that I see on social media is other women saying, what's wrong with my content? Tell me what's wrong. I'm trying to glow up. Be honest. What's wrong with my face? Like, it's shit like that. But it is a vibration that you are emitting that will trigger this mirror effect of you are going to get exactly back what you are putting out. And the sooner you recognize that like attracts like, and that this comparison is intentional for products to sell, is the moment that you can exit, the moment that you can unfollow all the people that make you feel like shit, and be very selective about what you are consuming. If you've reduced the number of mirrors that are like, yep, there's this wrong with you, yep, there's that wrong with you, it's like we can have the opportunity to come home. I have my 20-year class reunion coming up, and I actually didn't even know about it. I just found out about it like not too long ago. I'm still kind of unsure. I'm on the fence if I'm going to be able to go. But I was able to see one of my classmates who I love and adore. And it's like the second I see her, we just pick right up where we left off. And we were having this conversation, and she was talking so poorly about herself. And I mean, it was like to the next level. It was like nitpicking her body. It was saying how much she doesn't like her personality. It was like so many things. And I tell you right now, my flabbers were gasted because this is somebody that I love and adore. And I think that like, I just couldn't fathom ever speaking to her the way she was speaking to herself out loud. And I was just thinking, disliking yourself makes it so hard to not be stuck in that loop of consumption. It makes it so difficult because, like I said, the internal condition really is a hard place to be. If there is so much pain and suffering and dislike, like, why would you want to be around somebody that would ever make you feel like that? But when it's you, when it's your thoughts on repeat, I mean, of course you would have a really hard time being with your own truth. Of course, the self-compassion is really lagging. And I think about our daughters and our sons and the way that they watch us speak about ourselves. And I just refuse to let my daughters, my patients, my friends, anybody around me hear me speak poorly about myself, or even thinking poorly about myself feels hard, because when you start cultivating compassion, self-compassion for yourself, and I got to tell you, when I first started doing this, I thought it was so stupid, and it was like a lot of internal eye rolling, internal and external eye rolling, and I just kept going with it. And once you start cultivating compassion, it's like you give yourself the benefit of the doubt, and starting to realize, like, wow, when I feel full up, when I feel whole, I'm not consuming as much. Like, I don't need to go on a shopping spree for new makeup. I don't need to purchase $400 worth of supplements, right? And again, don't get it twisted. There's important things to buy. I have the things that I love, right? And I still continue to use them. And I probably won't stop using them. You know, I have my favorite non-toxic makeup brand that I use, and these are things that I enjoy. But if I had to go without them tomorrow, I think about these things. Like, if I had to give all of that up, would I crumble? Like, would I feel like I am incomplete? And the answer to that is no. The answer to that is no. And the thing about my friend that I saw is, I don't think that her story is unique. There are plenty of women who have allowed these narratives to run their lives and to permeate them in a way that's very damaging. And whether that is from a caregiver, whether that is from, media or marketing or, just living in a capitalistic, patriarchal society, I just think that it's a very fast way to break your spirit. And why would you ever want to come home to your body if you feel just so terrible on the inside? If nothing else, if you are a person who struggles with self-image and thinks that the way that you look is the most important thing about you, I just want you to imagine saying some of the things that you say inside of your head to your daughter or to your son. Do you want them to carry forth the same stories that you've told yourself? So if nothing else, and this is like energy borrowing, I've talked about this before, you can call up the energy of something and your brain doesn't know that it's not real. So if nothing else, borrow the energy of your daughter. Allow her little spirit and her shining face to be the thing that helps you remember that there is more to you than the way that you look. Since my class reunion is coming up, I was thinking about class superlatives. And it may not come as a surprise to anybody, but I was class flirt. And I think about this, and it's been 20 years, but I'm still class flirt. I'm still class flirt. And I think that to me, it wasn't an attention thing. It was more of a playful thing, alive, curious, present. And I always had this ability to, make friends with multiple friend groups. I was kind of like a chameleon in a way, where I could fit in with multiple different groups and have no problem at all. And I don't think I will ever be able to give up that part of me. And I never would want to. But I remember having this conversation with my husband back before we got married. And I was like, listen, this is who I am. I want you to know that if you ever catch me flirting, because I flirt with everyone. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, a kid. I'm flirting. I'm being playful. I'm flirting with life, literal. And I've done posts on that as well. When you flirt with life, life flirts back. And I had this conversation where I was like, if you see me flirting with another man, I really want you to know that it doesn't mean something catastrophic. It doesn't mean that I want this man or that I'm, trying to cheat on you or anything. This is who I am. It is an energetic that brings me a lot of joy. And I've always had the ability to even just give a look, and that's the flirting. It's not even an overtly, I'm not hitting on the mailman or I'm not seeking out people to be how you doing? That is not what I'm talking about. But flirting with life, I view as just an openness and a presence and the ability to truly hear and be a really good listener. And I think this plays into also my work because I've cultivated my listening skills and my ability to be curious and flirt. I have a very strong ability to be able to zoom out and see patterns for what they are and to reflect those patterns back to patients. I was thinking about this the other day. It's funny that it's coming up now. I was thinking about being an acupuncturist and how I used to think that the medicine was like sticking the needles in. And I used to think that like the medicine only starts when the patient's laying on the table. And now I realize the medicine literally starts the moment that they walk through the door. The medicine is in all of it. The medicine is in how I greet the person. The medicine is in intake, what we talk about. The medicine is the person's ability to rest. The medicine is all of these different things. And it's really relational. And this all comes from my ability to be playful and curious and open. And that is the essence of who I am. So yes, to anybody wondering, I am still class flirt, and flirting makes me feel absolutely alive. And it's a part of myself that I really, truly would never give up. So healing is not waking up one day and never finding another sequin again. Healing is a decision, and it's finding a sequin and going, oh, there you are again. Without the spiral of shame, panic, frustration, sadness, all the things. Without believing that this brings you back to square one. That's another one that I recently spoke to a patient about this week. She felt like every time this trigger came up, it meant that nothing had transpired, like she hadn't healed a single day in her life when she spent years healing. Years. Our brains have the ability to make us think that if we get triggered, it negates everything that we've done and all of the healing. And that's just simply not true. Healing is like a spiral. Even when you feel like you're going backwards, you are still going forward. Like I want you to picture a slinky. You are still going forward even when you have triggers. Two things can be true at the exact same time. We know all of this. You know, I also want to say that if you hate yourself or truly despise a lot of pieces of you, those are the places that you need to look. Those are the tender spots. And I understand that that might feel painful, but that is the true opportunity. It is your birthright to remember who the fuck you are. And by looking at the tender places, this is where the opportunity is for you to grow. Remember that the people who love you and who are around you don't believe all the things that you believe about yourself. Like I said, this is the marketing strategy. Make people dislike parts of themselves so they will forever consume our products. Once you start realizing all of this, it's like you can't unsee it. And, you know, the sequins that you find will be different from the sequins that I find because of simply our energy archetypes. We have different blueprints. And this is part of the reason why I love Chinese medicine and holistic medicine is that it's not a one size fits all. And, you know, a warrior sequence is going to look different from a nurturer sequence, right? The warrior might keep finding resentment. The nurturer is going to find overgiving. The guardian's going to continuously feel like they're not enough. The luminary might dim their light to make other people feel uncomfortable. And the anchor is going to constantly be wondering if they're safe. And this isn't because you're broken. This is where your awareness gets to deepen, because your sequence will not be the same as everybody else's. Again, this is why a one-size-fits-all approach does not work. I don't think that your archetype is actually your personality or who you are. It's what you have the most tendency. It's what you have the most proclivity to. And once you can notice it sooner and see it coming, you're going to go, oh, there you are again. There you are again. But you're going to be able to do it before it's too late, before you go through the full-on crash, right? Before your body is in revolt. You are going to be able to catch it. You're going to be able to see it and go, oh, okay, there you are again. So the goal isn't to never have patterns or never have anxiety or, wake up one day healed. The goal is to become somebody who is fully alive, and that means pattern recognition quickly. So your pattern isn't going to drive the bus anymore. You're going to drive the bus. This is literally what embodiment is. This is what embodiment is. And I was having a conversation with a patient yesterday about embodiment, and he kept saying like, well, how? Well, how am I going to do that? How? Right? And it's funny because it's like he's very stereotypically in the masculine energy, meaning like systems and logic and numbered lists and just like automation and all of these things. And embodiment is a very feminine energetic. It flows. It can be chaotic. It involves emotion, right? It's a little bit different from that masculine. And I said to him, I said, with practice, you won't have to go through an hour of brain dumping to get to embodiment. Did you know that embodiment is literally just feeling your feet on the floor, smelling something, tasting something? It is through your senses that you are going to be in your body. And learning those nuanced little tiny signals that your body is always sending you. And I feel like when I said that, his brain was like blown. Like he literally was like, but I need to put aside 4 hours for me to do this. And I'm like, yo, okay, you can do that to start, but you don't need 4 hours to come back to yourself. And he goes, well, what about meditation? Like when I schedule a meditation, I can sometimes get there, but like I often like have a pen and paper and I'm like stopping and I'm like writing things, and it's like, no. And I can understand how somebody who has very strongly related to logic and systems and automations and all of these things might think that embodiment feels a little like confusing, or like it's maybe too easy, which don't get it twisted. There's nothing easy about being in your body, because there's true inconveniences when you hear pieces of information that you don't really want to hear. It's pretty inconvenient. But with time, again, this is the path. This is where truth lies. This is where you stop abandoning yourself because you called your coworker and they talked you out of the big life decision that you know in your heart is right for you. Or because you need the group chat in order to veto what you know is true for yourself. Again, these are wildly inconvenient truths that your body may reveal to you. And we've also talked about, you might be met with rupture after years of not being with yourself. You wake up one day and you look back and you go, who am I? Why? What is this life I've cultivated? This isn't where I want to be. This isn't what I love, right? Just because you're good at it doesn't mean you should keep doing it. What makes you feel fully alive, vibrant, and juicy? So the next time that you find yourself criticizing your body, not liking your thighs or your belly, or who's grown fucking humans, just saying. The next time you find yourself comparing yourself to your favorite influencer, or thinking, I thought I was over this, or man, I wish I had what she had. I hope that you don't use that as evidence that you failed, or that you're behind, or that you need some type of fixing. I hope that you use this as evidence, as places that you can look, because these patterns don't just disappear. Healing is when you look at that sequin and you go, oh, you smile, you say, it's you again. And then you come back home to yourself. Remembering who the fuck you are is your birthright. You're not trying to become somebody new. You're not trying to become, somebody that you envy, right? You arrive with yourself in truth, remembering who you are. I'm probably going to find sequins for like at least another 5 years. And I'm sure they're going to end up in places that make absolutely no sense at all. And every single time I am going to think, oh, there you are. There you are. Healing feels a lot more like that than we think. Thank you for tuning in today, and I will see you in the next episode.